You didn't wake up this morning feeling rich. Maybe you checked your bank account before you even got out of bed. Maybe you didn't, because you already knew what you'd see. And somewhere between the alarm and the coffee, that quiet thought came back. The one you don't say out loud. Am I actually going anywhere? Here's what nobody tells you: wealth doesn't announce itself. It doesn't send a notification. It doesn't show up on a Monday morning with a clean number and a feeling of arrival. Most people who are genuinely building something real, something that lasts, walk around for years not knowing it's happening. That's not a motivational line. That's just the truth of how this works. Because the signs that you're getting rich, they don't look like what you've been shown. They don't look like a sports car or a corner office or a moment where everything clicks and you finally feel it. They look like something quieter. Something most people miss entirely. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you 4 of them. Not to make you feel good, but because if you're carrying one of these signs right now, and there's a real chance you deserve to know it. There's a moment, and most people can't tell you exactly when it happened, where something shifts. You're standing in a store, or scrolling through your phone at midnight, finger hovering over confirm purchase. And something in you hesitates. Not because you can't afford it, but because something deeper says, this doesn't add up anymore. That discomfort? Most people treat it like a problem. Like something's wrong with them. Like they've become boring, or cheap, or afraid. But that feeling, that quiet resistance, is one of the clearest signs that your relationship with money is evolving. See, the version of you that used to spend without thinking wasn't reckless because you were a bad person. It was because money felt abstract. It came in, it went out, and somewhere in between, life happened. That's how most people live. That's what normal looks like. But when you start feeling friction before a purchase, real friction, not guilt, not fear, it means your brain has started doing math you didn't ask it to do. It started calculating not just what something costs today, but what it costs tomorrow. What it costs in time. In options. In freedom. That's not restriction. That's awareness. And awareness, in this game, is everything. The people who build lasting wealth aren't the ones who deprive themselves. They're the ones who stopped being unconscious about the exchange. Every dollar spent is a decision, not just a transaction. And the day that distinction becomes real to you, even if you can't fully articulate it yet, something has already changed. You might not have more money, but you have something that eventually leads there. This one is harder to talk about, because it touches something people don't want to admit. At some point, quietly, without a dramatic conversation or a falling out, you start noticing that certain friendships feel heavier than they used to. Certain gatherings leave you drained instead of full. Certain conversations feel like you're moving in slow motion while your mind is somewhere else entirely. And if you felt that, there's a good chance you've also felt guilty about it. Don't. Because what you're experiencing isn't arrogance. It's not you becoming cold or disconnected. It's something much more simple and much more important. You're changing. And change, by definition, creates distance. Think about it this way. Imagine 2 people standing on a train platform. One of them boards. The other one stays. Neither of them is wrong. But the moment that train moves, the distance between them is no longer a matter of choice, it's a matter of direction. The people who are genuinely building wealth, financially, mentally, personally, don't abandon their circles. But they do start to feel the gap. The gap between those who talk about what they're going to do and those who are quietly doing it. Between those who spend Friday night complaining about the same problems they had 6 months ago and those who are tired, yes, but tired from building something. That gap is uncomfortable. Nobody warns you about it. But here's what I want you to sit with: the discomfort of outgrowing a room is not a loss. It's a signal. It means you've been doing something right long enough for it to show, even if only in the way the air feels when certain people are around you. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to justify it. Just notice it. And keep moving. There's a version of financial anxiety that nobody talks about, because from the outside, it looks like ambition. It's the person who earns more and immediately raises their lifestyle. Who hits a goal and feels nothing for 3 days before setting a new one. who is always one number away from finally feeling okay. One promotion. One raise. One investment return. One more month of discipline. And then it arrives. And the feeling doesn't. Most people spend a decade in that cycle without ever naming it. They think the problem is that they haven't achieved enough yet. So they push harder. Earn more. Optimize more. And the goalpost moves again, quietly, automatically, like it always does. Here's what that cycle actually is. It's your sense of security being built on top of a moving foundation. And no matter how fast you run, a moving foundation cannot hold weight. But something shifts when you start building differently. When you stop asking how much do I need to feel safe, and start asking what kind of life am I actually trying to build? The energy changes. The desperation softens. Not because you have more, but because you've stopped outsourcing your stability to a number. This is subtle. It doesn't feel like a breakthrough. It feels more like a quiet morning where you realize you didn't check your account the moment you woke up. Or a week where you made a financial decision not from fear, but from clarity. That's not complacency. That's maturity. And financial maturity, the real kind, is rarer than most people think. The ones who eventually build something lasting aren't the ones who wanted it the most. They're the ones who stopped needing it to save them. There's a difference. And if you're starting to feel that difference, even faintly, pay attention to it. Let me ask you something. When you think about a purchase, a real one, not just groceries, what's the first thing that goes through your mind? For most people, the answer is price. Can I afford this? Is this worth the cost? Does this fit in the budget? That's not wrong. But it's also not the whole picture. Because there's a shift that happens, and it's one of the most underrated signs that something is changing in the way you relate to wealth, when you stop thinking primarily in dollars and start thinking in time. Not in a philosophical way. In a very practical, almost automatic way. You look at a service and instead of thinking that costs $200, you think that buys me 6 hours back every week. You look at a cheap solution that will break in 3 months and you think this will cost me twice, once in money, once in time. You start calculating the hidden tax of doing things the slow way, the manual way, the way you've always done them because it was free. That's not a rich person mindset. That's just a clearer lens. And here's why it matters. Time is the only resource that doesn't come back. Money, lost, can be rebuilt. Opportunities, missed, sometimes return. But an hour spent in the wrong direction is gone in a way that no bank account can fix. The people who build real wealth, not inherited, not lucky, but built, develop an almost instinctive awareness of this exchange. They're not obsessed with saving every dollar. They're obsessed with not wasting what can't be recovered. And when you start feeling that instinct, when the mental math shifts from what does this cost, to what does this cost me in time and options, something fundamental has changed in how you see the world. I want to stay here for a moment, because this one goes deeper than it first appears. When you start valuing time differently, it doesn't just change how you spend money. It changes how you spend yourself. You start saying no to things that used to feel obligatory. Not rudely. Not dramatically. But with a clarity that surprises even you. An invitation that once would have pulled you out of obligation now gets a quiet, honest, I can't make that work. A project that would have taken your entire weekend for a result that barely moves the needle, you see it differently now. You feel the weight of it before you agree. And people notice. Sometimes they call it discipline. Sometimes they call it cold. Sometimes they just say you've changed. They're right. You have. But here's the layer underneath all of this that I really want you to hear. Every single sign we've talked about today, the discomfort before spending, the shifting circle, the fading chase for enough, the new weight you give to time, none of them are about money at the surface level. They're about identity. Because getting rich, genuinely, sustainably rich, is not primarily a financial event. It's a personal one. It's the slow, unglamorous, often lonely process of becoming someone whose habits, instincts, and decisions are aligned with a different future than the one you were handed. Most people want the result without the internal renovation. And that's why most people stay exactly where they are, not because they lack opportunity, but because they haven't yet become the person who can hold what they're asking for. That renovation doesn't happen in a seminar. It doesn't happen from a book. It happens in the quiet moments, the hesitation before a purchase, the friendship that slowly fades, the morning you wake up and realize the panic is just a little quieter than it was 6 months ago. That quietness? That's not nothing. That's everything. If you've made it this far into this video with me, and I mean really made it, not just had it playing in the background, I want to pause for just a second. Because that says something about you. Most people don't finish things. Most people click away when it gets real. You didn't. So if this has been resonating, if somewhere in these last few minutes you recognized yourself in something I said, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel and come back every day. Not because we post content, but because we have conversations like this one. Quiet, honest, uncomfortable conversations that most people are afraid to have about money, about identity, about what it actually takes to build a life that means something. Hit that button. It costs you nothing. And it might be worth more than you think. Now, here's what I want you to carry into the final piece of this. We've talked about 4 signs. For quiet, easy to miss signals that something is shifting beneath the surface of your financial life. And if you're honest with yourself, really honest, at least one of them landed somewhere specific. Not in your head. In your chest. That's where real recognition lives. But there's one thing that ties all 4 of these signs together. One thread running underneath the discomfort, the shifting circles, the fading chase, the new weight you give to time. And it's this. You are no longer the same person who started this journey. Somewhere along the way, without a ceremony, without applause, without anyone telling you it was happening, you crossed a line. Not into wealth. Not yet. But into the version of yourself that wealth is possible for. And that distance, between who you were and who you're becoming, that's the real asset. Not the number. Not the account. Not the investment. You. Here's the thing about wealth that nobody puts on a poster. It doesn't feel like arrival. It feels like accumulation. Slow, invisible, almost boring accumulation of better decisions, of clearer thinking, of mornings that are slightly less anxious than the ones before them. And one day, not a dramatic day, not a day you'll probably even mark on a calendar, you look back. And the distance between where you are and where you were is so vast that it almost doesn't seem like the same life. That's how it works. Not in moments. In months. In years. In the quiet compounding of a person who decided, somewhere along the way, to stop living by default. You felt that discomfort before spending, and you didn't numb it, you listened to it. You felt the distance in certain rooms, and instead of shrinking back, you kept walking. You stopped chasing a number to save you, and started building something that could actually hold weight. You started counting hours the way other people count dollars, and realized that time, spent well, is the only investment that never loses value. These aren't small things. They never were. There's a line in Proverbs 13 verse 11 that has stayed with me for a long time. It says, "Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it." Little by little. That's the whole secret. Hidden in plain sight, 2,000 years old, and still true this morning when you woke up and checked your phone before you even said a word. You are gathering. Even when it doesn't feel like it. Especially when it doesn't feel like it. So hit that subscribe button, and share this video with 5 people who need to hear it today. Not people who already have it figured out. People who are in the middle of it, like you, like all of us, quietly building in the dark. And leave a comment below. Not a polite one. A real one. Tell me which of these 4 signs you recognized in yourself. And tell me, what do you want us to talk about next? I read them. Every single one. See you tomorrow.